Hello Blues, welcome to the Manchester is Blue show with myself, Tom Brunt, and we've got City Dave talking about all things City from this week. We go into some harsh reality detail from the City Spurs game. We analyse it to an inch of its life, from Pep's tactics to some of the dodgy substitutions. We don't talk about VAR because we think that's been exhausted to an inch of its life, but we go into a bit of detail about formation strategies, what we would like to do, and particularly what, as City fans, we would like to see for the West Ham game. So I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed filming it, and please, if you can, leave us a review on iTunes. That's always helpful to us, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks and enjoy. So I'm smiling. I'm trying not to do a Kyle Walker too much and be as overjoyed as he looked yesterday after our loss against Spurs. I'm not quite sure where his head at was there, but he needs to start trying to think about how the fans are feeling as opposed to how he's going to rekindle his old mates down at Spurs. Did you see that?
I did see that at the end, and was like you, Tom. I was a little bit taken aback by that we'd just come off a bad performance second half. Not really down to Kyle Walker. I thought overall he had a pretty good game, but yeah. I think there's a time and place for that, to your point, that, yeah, save it for the changing room, not on the pitch when you've got a dozen cameras at you and all the City fans are deflated from what we've just seen. That, yeah,
it's frustrating,
save it for the changing room, Kyle.
Absolutely, mate. But hey, we'll move on. We can let that one slide just for today, I think. But yeah. In reality, it was a story of missed chances yesterday. I was watching it. I was trying to make my mind up whether it was a bad game or a good game. Obviously, we lost, bad game. But did we play bad enough to lose 2-0? And I don't think we did. We just can't seem at the moment to have a bit of luck, bit of mazzle, whatever it might be, just to be able to put the ball in the net. And so why some of the players aren't shooting or don't have the confidence to shoot, I don't know. And I'm really I'm trying to ask you the question and say something at the same time. Do you know what's going on? Because I'm unsure.
We're certainly not playing like we did the previous two seasons, and that's my first concern. Are the players getting older? Are they just worn out from just what Pep's expecting of them? I think I said on a podcast a couple of weeks ago that, is there something to be said for how hard Pep works his players? And that we've seen the fruits of that labour for the previous two seasons, but now the Fernandinhos, the David Silvas, the Agueros, whoever else, they're just knackered, and they can't just reach that level that we were at in the for Middlesbrough season and the season before that either. But yeah, I read a comment on the page before that in the last three games, if this guy has it right, we've had 49 chances and scored one goal, and that tells the whole story. We didn't play in that badly, but we just can't seem to stick a ball in the net. And I know we'll come into it, but for mine, and me and Dan Halifax were having a little bit of an argument about this yesterday during the game, that in that respect, Aguero has to take some responsibility for that. But what really surprised me is when we went one down and we needed a goal, he took Aguero off.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one that was surprised by that. Why? I find it hard to question Pep because of what he's done and what he brings to us. But why any sane person would take one of our best ever goal scorers off when we need a goal? I honestly don't understand. I think we've discussed this. He reads the game on a different dimension in every level than what me and you watch. But we're exactly crying out for a goal. You don't take your striker off, and he all of a sudden starts taking our main striker off and making changes. Which, if it works out, then fantastic, great. But it's not been working out for him, has it?
No, and this absolute persistence with Sterling, where I can only think that Guardiola took Aguero off yesterday thinking Sterling's still got something left in the tank and he's due a goal and he's going to get one. And
yeah.
I mean, we still could be playing now and Sterling wouldn't have scored a goal.
Sterling, no, Sterling for me is an oddity, but Pep's got a lot of loyalty for Sterling, and there's some psychology behind this where he's still playing him because he's worried about the negative effect it'll have on him not playing him and dropping him. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. Pep's going around training every day saying, no, you're still one of the greatest, you're still the best, arm around the shoulder. He is that type of coach. As soon as he drops him, he's going against everything he's said to him. So there must be some kind of psychology in Pep, because he sees a player in training and we see a player playing football, and he must do great things in training because he's not doing it on the pitch. He doesn't deserve. He doesn't deserve. I'm sorry, Raheem. For me, you don't deserve the team jersey at the minute. You don't deserve that shirt to be at the minute. You're just not doing it for us, and we need to be bringing players on the pitch that will have that. Where's Foden been the last couple of weeks? What's going on there? I don't.
I have absolutely no idea, and you hit the nail on the head. What the problem is with us armchair fans, so to speak, is that we don't know what's happening on the training pitch, and what is he seeing that we as fans are not seeing on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever it is. That because the interesting thing is David Silva's not really in the team now either. He's in it, even though he's captain.
Yeah,
he's basically being used as that substitute now in the last 20 or 30 minutes now for me, and I messaged MIB team yesterday. I think that second half yesterday was absolutely tailor-made for David Silva. It was chaos in the middle of that field yesterday, and I think that calming. I think what David Silva can bring now, he doesn't have the legs, and maybe the creativity's gone a little bit, but he's still calms everyone. He's still got that calming influence, and if there was any game that I've seen all season that needed a calming influence, it was yesterday. There was fights between the players. No one was happy. There was a lot of VAR stuff going on. I don't think Zinchenko would have got sent off yesterday if David Silva had been on the pitch, because I think if he'd come on at the start of the second half, he would have just calmed things down. And Rodri is 23. Rodri is not going to be able to calm a game down yet like a David Silva or Fernandinho can.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's a funny one with Silva, isn't it? Because obviously with Bernardo on the bench as well, what's he waiting for to unleash Bernardo? Why is he not playing him?
Again, it's for me. This is down to what we're not seeing in training. That how has Bernardo Silva kind of fallen so off from last season? He was arguably our player of the season. To this season, he can barely get a run in the team. He's in one and then he's out one. And is this whole, he gave away the penalty at the derby in December. Is that having a detrimental effect on Bernardo? I don't think it is. I think he's, got quite a strong mindset, but I think we miss his energy, and I think we miss his presence on the pitch. And certainly, to your point, doesn't he deserve a run ahead of Sterling right now on that right-hand side? And I think that's more than anything right now. The frustration for me and you and a lot of other City fans is we just don't understand what's happening right now with the tactics, with the formation, why some players are not playing, why Sterling is playing every game when he needs a rest or he needs a break from the team. And this yesterday, now I'm reading that Gundogan and Aguero it was a discussion between them who was taking the penalty. At the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, that's not their decision. That's the coach's decision. If Pep Guardiola says, right, Sergio, you're taking the penalties, then that should be end of story. For me, that's one of the reasons why we missed that yesterday. If that's true, that Aguero and Gundogan were discussing who takes it, That's why we missed that penalty.
There should be no discussion. We've had this
exactly.
We've had this conversation weeks ago. You sort out your penalty takers before the match. Who's the top top three penalty takers? Right, okay, that's the order. No arguments. Crack on with it. And for me, Sergio's top of the list, obviously, because of the striker. Gundogan's a really good finisher from penalties, from what I remember in previous games and previous finishes. So yeah, I can see him being up there. But for me, I know Sergio. It's Sergio Aguero every day of the week. But again, he got brought off. So what do we know? What was that? I mean, for me, Gundogan at the minute, I recognise a stat before, which is not only wholly favourable towards Gundogan and played in the amount of games we've lost and the amount of games we've won when he's played for us. And you know, I was a massive critic of Gundogan back in the last season, at the beginning of this season. And he's turning me around a little bit, but I'm still not seeing this kind of double pivot thing that Pep's doing with him and Rodri. And I still don't understand what position Gundogan is. Is he defensive? Is he attacking? I don't get that for me. And he's a bit of an anomaly. And I'd rather see, I know you're going to hate me for this, I'd rather see Kevin De Bruyne in that position that rather than Gundogan if he's going to do that position, or even Bernardo Silva who can do that bit of creativity. But he seems to persist with Gundogan, and I've not seen him kick on. He's very much of a samey player for me. I've not seen him kick on and have like 3 or 4 fantastic games. Like, remember Bernardo Silva? He turned into be a world beater within a couple of weeks, didn't he?
Yeah.
I've never seen Gundogan do that, which is a bit frustrating. I mean, obviously we can't. Pep can't legislate for the finishing, but it seemed at points of the game yesterday that he got his tactics well, and the tactics were working for us. There's just little things that weren't dropping in our favour. The penalty. If we'd gone and scored that penalty, I have absolutely confidence that we would have gone on to win that by two goals. But the negativity just clicked in there, and then as soon as the game chipped on, there was just something there saying, you know what? And I think you mentioned it on the group chat. We're not going to win this. Something's going to happen here. And there was a blinding finish by the Spurs lad, but it should have been, the game should have been dead and buried at that point. It
should, and I take no pride in this fact. I called that result.
You did.
I knew that we were going to lose yesterday, and I knew it was going to be 2-0. I just had this feeling that it was going to be that usual thing of the consistently inconsistent, which we were. Decent second half, decent first half where we didn't stick away our chances, but we seem to revert to that team again that we've done too many times this season, of not creating anything and not really knowing what each other's jobs were. And I thought Pep would get them in at half time and just rollick them, and he doesn't seem to do that. Maybe he does it after the games, but he certainly doesn't do it during it. So we just came out the second half with no impetus. To your point, the heads had dropped because we didn't get the penalty. I think they were pissed off as well that the penalty wasn't retaken. That the VAR didn't spot Lloris 2-3 yards off his line. It was just poor all round. Something has to change.
Are we unlucky?
No.
You don't think we've been unlucky the last couple of weeks? You think it's just purely tactics and the mentality?
Yeah, I don't believe it. I think you create your own luck, and I don't think we deserved anything out of yesterday, because we didn't even fight when we went 1-0 down. We didn't even really look like we were gonna do anything. It's as I said on the group chat. We huffed and puffed yesterday, and certainly the second half, and didn't really do anything. The only player for me who can come out with certainly their head held high was Kyle Walker. I think he had a very, very good game yesterday.
It's funny, isn't it? Because with our defence, I think we miss a general lack. I think there's a general lack of pace throughout our team at the moment. For saying that with the City side, you got Sterling, who's rapid, Kyle Walker, absolutely rapid. But you look at our defensive setup, it's not. You hit the nail on the head there. Kyle Walker had a good game, but I think whenever he makes a mistake or somebody else makes a mistake, he's got the pace to get him or them out of that position. And City, I
Yep.
general lack of pace in our defence at the moment, which I think is hindering us a little bit going forward. I mean, look at the United game a couple of weeks back. Kyle Walker saved us from getting an absolute spank in that game.
Exactly.
It's if we, I don't know, we need an overhaul. God, I hate to say this. How much have we spent on our defence? But we do. If we want to win anything, if we want to win anything big next year, then we've got to start thinking, right, who's our left back? Is he good enough? Yes or no? Who's our centre half? Is he good enough? And we've got to do that through our whole squad. And I can't see us spending the massive amounts of money that other teams will want to sell their players for.
Exactly. That's the problem that we're in, that we have all this money now. But I think whenever we make an inquiry about anyone, I think they add 50% onto the price tag immediately because we somewhat can afford it. And this is, I think I'd said this months ago, really, that the business model for City is of course they want the best players, but the first thing they do is look when their contract is up and look if they have a clause in the contract that if someone offers X amount, we're willing to pay that. So, and I think probably 70 million at this stage is probably our limit. That's what we did with, I mean, that's exactly what we did with Rodri. And I believe that's what we did with Bernardo Silva as well. I think he was 43 million, but I think that was in his contract that, you know, he could go for 50 million euros or whatever that works out to be. So I think we really miss Fernandinho in that middle. You know, what I would say somewhat in Pep's defence is that I think Rodri's been somewhat thrown into this Manchester City team, whereas most players, certainly in their first season under Pep, they tend to be more substitutions, just like Mahrez was, just like Bernardo Silva was, and get a feel for how we need to play. Rodri's been thrown in there, and we need Fernandinho back in that defensive midfield role, so Rodri can learn. This is what we need. He's doing okay, but he's not at Fernandinho's level of being able to control a game and being that support for defence and attack. So I feel a bit bad in that regard. Are we going to need to spend a lot of money? Yes. But here's the question I posed on the group chat yesterday. If we know for a fact that Guardiola is leaving in 18 months' time at the end of the 2021 season, I think he is, do we give him a war chest of funds to bring in 3 or 4 new players when I'm not saying he shouldn't do that, but if I was on the board of directors, my thinking is, why am I going to give 200-300 million when Pep's going to stay with them for 1 season, and then possibly we're going to get a new manager come in, and we know that we're going to get a very big name manager because we're a big club and we can afford it and we've got money. Well, what if that manager wants to completely rip up the tactics and formation, the way we play? And that's my concern. That why would we go and give Pep a load of money when he's made it very clear he's going to leave in 18 months' time?
I think I take your point massively, but I think you might be, in my opinion, looking at it from the wrong side. Let me try and explain myself, because I hope this comes out properly. So, for me, Pep's the coach. I don't think Pep has as much to do with the signings as what people might think. I think that the background management foresee weaknesses in our teams and target the players according to those weaknesses. I am absolutely convinced, as within any management structure, Pep will be on that senior management team looking at the players. But I think if Pep was to go tomorrow, the management team would bring in another manager. Oh, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Another coach who will fit into the same mould as Pep, potential different formations, etc., etc. But I don't think that'd change the purchases that the senior management team have highlighted for the manager. Does that make sense? You got the manager structure there. I think the players are bought in accordance to the plan that has been put together. I don't think it would make any difference if Pep was the manager, or if Sam Allardyce was the manager, or if whoever else was, Ancelotti was the manager. I still think we hire our coaches to be coaches, and our senior management team, alongside that coach, will identify the players that are being brought in. Does that make sense? I think
that makes. I mean, and to your point as well, that's, Tixie is the one who is really the one who gets those players in and gets the contracts and whatever else. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, he was a bloody fabulous footballer for Barcelona and Spain. So I think I've seen comments sometimes, from him that he is very much, maybe not in charge, but he has a big influence over who those players are that we bring in. You are probably right, to be perfectly honest, and maybe I didn't even think of it in that regard, but I think maybe my point is, more than anything else, this season shows we're going to need to spend a lot of money in the summer, and there's a lot of reinforcements now. That season has shown that. David Silva's leaving anyway. Otamendi's probably going to be leaving as well, and there may be one or two surprises as well that we don't know at the end of the season. So we're going to need to spend a lot of money. My concern is, as you pointed out, Tom, at the beginning of this call, was every club puts another 50% on the transfer fee when Manchester City come a calling, because we can afford it. We've got that money, and I don't think we're going to go down that route. So that leaves us with what players who are going to fit into that Manchester City style, to your point, that we want to sign, are going to be available in that 40 to probably 70 million price range, who are going to come to City. I hope, for Dan Fielden's sake, that Diaz is available. The centre back, we heard all that stuff during the transfer window about, I think it's Nunes as well, and another centre back that seemed to go cold. I would love him as well. We need a striker. What if Zane does leave for Bayern Munich? We're going to need an attacking midfielder or a winger. I think all over the park that, unfortunately, we kind of need reinforcements now, and that's 400 million pound spend in this market, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I have serious question marks whether we would spend that much money.
Exactly.
I'd like to get myself inside Pep's head and just understand a little bit in relation to Eric Garcia and how he fits into the plans, because we're not going to win the league. We're 22 points, 21 points, 22 points behind. We're 20. The league's gone. I think we need to accept that. Even the most pessimistic of City fans would probably give that one a go. So let's play the players that are going to be here next season. Let's play Garcia. Let's play Foden. We've got absolutely nothing to lose. And if Pep came out, do you know what, mate? If Pep came out and said, right, we're 15 points clear of fourth place, I think, from memory. We need to win X amount of games to get Champions League place. Now we're going to use the Premier League as a testing ground for next year. We've got absolutely nothing else to lose. Let's start playing the young lads. Let's see the passion that we've got. And I bloody tell you one thing. Foden would have been laughing at the end of that game yesterday if he was playing.
No.
Not a bloody chance he would be. Would Garcia? No. Would Harris Bellis? Absolutely not. It'd be absolutely as fuming as you and I would be. Let's play the young lads in the Premier League while we've got the opportunity to blood them against real harsh competition. We've got West Ham on Sunday. Am I correct? 4:30.
We do have West Ham. Sunday. Yeah.
Let's stick some young lads up against them. Let's give them some proper Premier League football in anticipation for next year. Yeah. And do you know what? If at the end of the season the Foden's not good enough, right? If Garcia's not good enough, I hate to say it, proves a point. Move on. See what's happening, because we're in the League Cup final. We're in the FA Cup. We're in the Champions League. Let's play our absolute best players in the FA Cup and Champions League. Let's play the young kids in the Premier League and the League Cup final. Let's just give them a bit of opportunity to have a bit of practice and a bit of a run round and get that game day experience in the Premier League, because we'll need it next year. Why is Garcia not playing?
I don't know, and I've said on group chat on a million occasions now, if we're not careful, Garcia's going to go the way of Piqué at United, and
I won't blame him.
we're going to let him slip through our grasp. So you are exactly right. If it's a whole new regime next season, then why not blood them now so they're ready for next season rather than this messing around? My only fear is that I don't think Pep likes Foden as much as he says he does. I think a lot of this is lip service, because I strongly think that if Pep liked Foden as much as he says he does, he'd be playing more than he does, and he barely plays, or he gets 5-10 minutes here and there. And if the expectation is that August this year that Foden's a starter, he's not going to be ready, and then what will happen is that he'll get dropped. Guardiola will get all frustrated and annoyed that Foden isn't up to the task, and he'll get dropped. So my thinking is right now, is Pep really going to go out and buy that attacking, playmaking midfielder? Is he going to go and buy another centre-back? If we lose... So we're going to lose Otamendi, probably. Maybe Stones, if a decent bid came in for him. Does that mean Garcia gets his chance? Because if I'm Garcia and we bring in one or two new centre-backs, then again, I'm like, well, why am I sticking around? I'm going to hand in a transfer request. I don't even know when Garcia's contract is up. But if I was City, I would be looking at that very carefully and finding out, is he going to try and leave like Piqué did on a free?
Oh, God, can you imagine?
And then it'll become, and he will, he's that good, he'll go to Barcelona, or he'll go to Real Madrid, or he'll go to Atletico, and he'll be, for the next 10 years, one of the best centre-backs in the world. And I'm nervous that that's what's going to happen with Garcia. And though Foden has obviously the absolute love for City, let's be honest, at the end of the day, he's a professional footballer first, and he's a Manchester City supporter second. If we continue to not play him, and certainly next season if he's not getting the game time, who blame him if if a decent Premiership club turned around and wanted him, or he's got such a good style to him. Foden could play in Germany just like Sancho is doing. He could play, and he certainly could play in Spain. Why wouldn't one of those big clubs come in for him as well and say, Phil, you're going to play every week if you come and sign for us? And that's the fear right now. He doesn't seem to be managing these younger players very well. Yeah,
it's getting to a point now where I'm starting to ask question marks of why we're not playing them. And the frustrating thing is, if I was to ask everyone in the street a question, I'd get an answer, but I'm never going to get it with Pep. I've got to wait until the next game we play and see what the formation, see what the team is, and see what's going to go in there. And then I come on the podcast again most weeks asking the same question: when are we going to see these lads play?
Yeah, he's dancing around it right now. And the other point I make with Pep right now as well is that he seems to be, I've said this a few times now in the group chat, I get the real sense that he seems to be managing one game ahead rather than managing on what's right there in front of him. And I know Dan Halifax in particular doesn't particularly agree with me, and there might be people who listen to this that don't agree as well. But I'm just fearful with Pep that he's even coming out and said now about the Champions League that my time at Manchester City is going to be a failure if I don't win the Champions League. I'm kind of looking at him on the touchline, and he does seem like obsessed with it, just by some of the choices that he's saving players for whatever. And I don't think he's living in that 90 minutes of the actual game. I just thought his substitutions and the thing he set up yesterday was just incredibly strange. You mentioned Bernardo Silva. We mentioned about Aguero being substituted pretty early on. We mentioned his insistence on Sterling staying on. What's, like you, I want to get in his head. What's going on with him right now that he's not? we're losing games, and you can have an effect on that game because there's still time to do something, and you're not doing anything. You're saving your players, or you're waiting for the next game. Which for us, it's not like we've got a game on. If we'd have had a game tomorrow night, I can totally understand Sergio being substituted, even when we were 1-0 down. I understand that, but when we don't have a game for a week, what's he doing? You play your strong 11. Like, you can't play thinking, oh my gosh, I hope one of our players doesn't get injured during this. You play your best team. Always.
Playing? What happened to Laporte? Is he just literally conscious of him getting another knock and resting him?
Well, I have a little bit of a thinking behind that I think we've discussed on the podcast before, that Pep has a tendency to bring his players back way too early from injury. He did it with De Bruyne, and I think he might have done it with Laporte. Like, that was a tough game he came back for with Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he got hammered by Tadic. You know, it should have been a red card.
Yeah, I remember.
I have a feeling that, Pep is very good at talking to the media and protecting his players. I think Laporte's carrying an injury again. I think they brought him back too quick. Because if you read what Pep said about Laporte, he said that, the physios and whatever else told me he was ready. That's what he's going off. And I don't think he was. I think you don't need, if you're a professional player, you don't need the amount of time that Laporte's had out now. He's missed the last 2 games, apparently because he's tired. I'm not buying it. I think he got injured again, and I think they brought him back too quickly. And will he be back against West Ham? I've got absolutely no idea. If there was one player that we needed yesterday, it was Laporte.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he doesn't play him against West Ham, I think that's got to confirm your theory. It's got to. He's had nearly 2.5, 3 weeks out there, hasn't he, then?
Yeah. We just have this tendency, and or Pep does. I think he brings those players in too quickly when they've been injured or out for a while. My God, let's hope we don't do that with Zane, who is now training with the first team, and then he's out again, because that will be done. If Zane has a bad experience and he gets injured again or whatever it is, he's definitely off.
No, that's a good shout. When's our? It's not. It's after, when's our winter break? It's next week, isn't it? The week after next.
Yeah, it's next week. So we play the West Ham game, and then I think we've got a little bit of time off, which will be nice.
Then we play Leicester again on the 22nd, I think.
Yeah.
My calendar here.
Leicester away. Yeah.
So it'd be good to if he is carrying a knock, he's not playing against West Ham. Then he's going to give him a good month off until the Leicester game's back, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what every City fan would hope for right now, if Laporte is not quite ready, not back, let's hope he's ready for Real Madrid at the end of February. That's
26th of Feb.
Yeah, because to your point, league's gone. Let's have Garcia and Fernandinho in as our centre backs. That's what I will be doing. And we save Laporte for FA Cup. Hopefully we keep going through that, and we're going to face stronger and stronger teams as hopefully we go on to Wembley and Real Madrid. That's what I would do.
Real Madrid on the Wednesday night, and on the Sunday we're in the final against Villa.
Yeah.
There's 2 really important games there.
And what's he gonna? And this is what I was saying before. What's he gonna do there?
United. Got United the week after, have we?
So we've got all these games coming up. We've got Real Madrid, arguably biggest game of the season, really, Champions League. If this is the competition that Pep really, really wants to do well in this season, that's arguably our biggest game of the season. What team is he going to play? And is he going to manage for that particular game? Or is he going to do what I feel he's been doing for several months now, that is looking actually to the next game, which is obviously a big game. It's the League Cup final. But I'm very interested to see, is he going to play the strongest team against Real Madrid? Or is he going to save some of those players, or substitute them after 50 minutes or whatever it might be, to save them for the for the weekend.
Yeah,
Against Villa.
I think he's going all guns for Real Madrid. I don't think he I don't understand this the wrong way. I don't think he really cares about the League Cup. I think if he could lose the League Cup 5-0 and beat Real Madrid 1-0 at Madrid, I think he'd take that. I think he'd rip your arm off for that competition.
Yeah.
I don't think he really cares about that. I think he'd play the B team or the reserves for the League Cup final with Real Madrid. And do you know what? I don't blame him, to want of a better thing, because I really want us to do well in the Champions League. I obviously want us to win 3 out of 3 League Cups, because I'll hopefully be going to that. So I don't want to go all that way and see a Bravo masterclass again. Because if I tell you one thing, if it goes to penalties, we're fucked. Excuse my language. Sorry. If that goes to penalties, we're knackered.
Yeah, absolutely. This has just been a frustrating season, really, for every City fan. And I understand what everyone's posted on the page, and but I think we've just been spoilt the last 2 seasons. We do have the greatest coach in the world coaching us, which is a coup in itself. The last 2 seasons that we've had, and all the trophies that we've won, and the points haul in the Premier League, we've kind of come back down to earth a little bit now. And
I think everyone got excited thinking we're going to have a dynasty of 10, 15 years of winning absolutely everything, and all of a sudden, hang on a minute, we're getting spanked on all corners here. What's happened? We were supposed to be smashing this league again this year. What's happened?
Yeah, and particularly the players that we've got, we're not become a bad team overnight, but we just certainly aren't the team that we were for the last 2 seasons. We can't put games to bed. We look nervous. There's that panic if we do go into goal down. If we don't get the first goal, there always seems to a panic now sets in, and that kind of harks back to yours and I's, golden age of being City fans, of being typical City. The 2 Dans make fun of me and you all the time for this negativity, but that's kind of what's bred. Who's
born on.
That's what I was born into with my dad and my granddad, and going standing on the Kipax for years, and we just wanted a nice day out. We knew we weren't going to win, but that's changed now. The goalposts have changed, and now there's an expectation, particularly with the players that we've got. We're going to win every game, and it's just not happening for us this season at all. And I'm glad you said that we're 15 points ahead from 4th, because my fear is everyone's saying, let's forget about the league. Well, we have to at least cement our top 4 spot, because who are we going to... I don't want to be in that 4th, because I think 4th place has to play that additional game, don't they, to qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah. Kazakh Farmers League. Yeah.
And I don't want to be in that position. I want to finish a good second, and I want us to beat Liverpool. And that's going to have to be a good Premiership season for us this season.
It's funny, because I was talking to a Leicester fan today, and he was so keen on beating City to 2nd place. It was scary. He's got so much passion for wanting to get 2nd in the league and being like the runners-up to the world champions. I never even thought of it before, but we need to watch our back, because Brendan Rodgers will be rallying that Leicester team just as much as that fan is rallied to beating City. We need to be careful. Yeah, I'm just looking at Chelsea got 41 points. We've got 51, so we're 10 ahead. And then there's Tottenham in 5th place on 37 points. So, 13 points clear.
We're 13, but the way we're playing, are we going to go to Leicester and get a result? I don't think we are. So that's 3 points drop there. And then would they leapfrog us if they win that game?
Yes.
And that's the thing. And then we're in 3rd.
Depending on how we get on this weekend, obviously.
Yeah, and then we've still got to play Chelsea away, I believe. We've still got Liverpool, which I'm kind of hoping that we will get a result in. But the way they're playing, they don't know how to lose. Who's to say that they're not going to come to Etihad and beat us and show them this is why we're going to be Premier League champions this season?
With me a little bit.
This top 4 spot is not guaranteed, and certainly not the way that we've played this season. And that's my fear, that how do we ensure that we cement that top 4 place, win the League Cup, have a good FA Cup run, and have a good Champions League run as well? And we're not gonna do it.
Do you think there's a part of Pep Guardiola choosing the teams he's playing because he's trying to tell the management at B that we need reinforcements? He won't be like that, would he? He won't pick a worse off team than what we can pick just to try and prove a point that we need more competition in the team. Won't do that, would he?
I would hope not, but I mean, he must be as frustrated as everyone else with the defence, and I know he spent a lot of money on it a couple of years ago. I get that, but we're in the same position again where we need to buy a lot of new defenders. I'm not convinced by Cancelo yet by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think I would have minded that much if he, we were hearing he was going to go. Was it to Juventus, who wanted him?
Not sure.
Into Milan or someone like that for 50 million or something. I mean, probably would have taken it. At this point, we need 2 new centre backs, or at least one. Is Mendy going to come good in that left back role? We seem to be having the same problem with him again, that he's carrying injury again. I think he's doing the best he can, Guardiola, with what he's got available, and maybe he's actually at least showing, look, board of directors, this is the best that we've got. If you want to be competing Champions League and at the top of the Premier League, we're going to need to spend some money and bring some more players in.
Well, either way, we're definitely going to go into the next season with new faces. I think we both know that. It's just be interesting to see what happens between here and now, and I think we have to take a bit of a leaf out of Pep's book and take each game at a time at the moment. But it wasn't good enough yesterday for me. We can't. I know, fantastic. People say we played well, etc. All the rest of it. You can't play well and lose 2-0.
Nope.
It's all well and good playing nicely and having all the possession, but unless you're putting the ball in the net, it means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So
and that's what we've been saying over and over and over again as well about a striker, that I understand that we have a way of playing, and I like the way that we play football. But we need that. If he's going to take Aguero off, you need a different option as a striker. You can go back 50, 100 years that, when a manager looks at his team and they're not firing, or that striker's not working out, they've got someone on the bench who they can bring on and as a striker and just do things a little bit differently. And we absolutely miss that. Being able in that respect yesterday to bring in someone like an Edin Dzeko and change the way that we're getting those balls into the box, we might have got something out of it. But all we did was change like for like and played the game exactly the same way and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity, isn't it? That's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It wasn't going to change anything, Pep, because no one brings, for me, a different bit of a dimension to City. I would have loved Haaland when he was available.
Yeah.
I would have. It was only wages. Honestly, I know he's 32. I would have loved to bring Cavani to City. Absolutely brilliant player who's banged in goals whichever league that he's played in, and again to do something different for City. Imagine that yesterday if we taken Aguero off and brought Cavani on. The Spurs defence would have shit themselves. Well, okay, we were used to this being on the floor, but now we've got to think of something else that they're going to do. And Cavani's actually good at bringing other players into the game, and that would have got De Bruyne a little bit further forward as well, because he had a couple of pot shots yesterday from outside the box, but that was it. I just think Pep needs to think about, it's not my beautiful way of playing football, but to affect results, maybe we need to do things a little bit of a different way. And is he too headstrong to maybe think of doing things differently? Yeah.
Headstrong is the word. Yeah. He's not going to change, is he? He's not going to change for a while anyway.
No.
And I'll go back to the point beforehand. If we would have scored that penalty, I still think it would have been a different game. So I'm trying to be as positive in a negative tone as I possibly can. I know that sounds a bit of oxymoron, but we can't predict the future. We can't have gone back in time and see what have happened if we would have scored that. But I just want us to, on Sunday, I want us to be absolutely smashing West Ham. And you know what? If we won 1-0 or 5-0, I'm not bothered. I just want the performance to be, just try your absolute hardest, lads. Let's see what we can get out of the game. We should be beating them. We both know we should be beating West Ham on Sunday. I don't know if you're going to be on Thursday night's podcast, but we'll talk about the West Ham game in a bit more detail. But Pep should have those players wound up like a coiled spring.
Yeah, and I'm interested to know, this is when you want to be a fly on the wall, that this 50-minute post-match thing with Pep yesterday, and again, I know he protected the players, but I would hope that he absolutely tore into them after that game yesterday. That was 50, and Pep doesn't tend to do that. That was 50 minutes before media were allowed in or anything like that. Yeah, he's got to give them a rollicking. But I think what City fans want to see is a little bit of a change.
Yeah.
Stop playing Sterling. Stop playing Gundogan. Let's see something different that we can do, because otherwise it's just going to be the same old. We need Foden in. Let's give Garcia a try. Let's at least have Harwood Bellis and Doyle on the bench, so they get used to that. Used to that arena, used to being on that stage, and otherwise, I think this season is, just perfectly honest, gonna just peter out, and I don't want that, because this isn't gonna last forever. So let's not have this season peter out, Pep. Let's try something a little bit different.
Absolutely. Do you know what? On that note, mate, I'm leaving it there, because I think we can talk about this all night and sound and put a negative spin on it as much as we can. But we just need positivity. We want something to look forward to. We want a bit of youth in the team, and I can't emulate it any more than you put it there, Dave. To be honest with you, pal. So I think we leave it there, pal.
All right. And last note was to our very good friend Dan Fielden and his wife. Everyone's thinking of you, mate. Hope all goes well, and we'll talk to you Thursday.
Well said, that man. Right, have a good one.
All right, cheers, mate.
Cheers, Blues.
See you later. See you till we die.